So, Katherine, on previous episodes, and we'll link this, you share a part of your story, your stroke, and just everything physically that you've gone through. Anything else that you want to add as far as what has the dark looked like for you? And maybe specifically, has there been, this is my darkest moment, or even from this last year, this is my darkest moment, and what's that looked like for you personally?
Absolutely. After I had the massive stroke and nearly died and became severely disabled at 26 years old, you would think like that's the big suffering. That's all the problems. Now, life is good and easy, and she had a car wreck and walked away or something. That's not been my story. The last 16 years have included 13 surgeries, a number of broken bones, a torn ACL, terrible fall in a bathtub, breaking ribs, breaking a leg. I mean, a lot of just really bad trips to the ER in the middle of the night because I fell out of bed, and just a lot of really hard stuff. And I would say there's been several things that I feel like the Lord has kind of revealed to me along that journey. It started in my darkest moments post-stroke, which was about 6 months after, when I began to wonder if God made a mistake leaving me here in this state. But this thought has continued, and that's that God doesn't make mistakes, that he knows better than I know, and somehow, some way, this is all part of the story being written through my life. And even in my very darkest moments, I just clung to the logical belief, even when I wasn't thinking logically, that if I should have died, I would have died. But I'm here. I'm in the story, and I have breath in my lungs. So clearly, God wants me on earth. And I think every person, regardless of situation, needs that word, that if they were not supposed to be here, they would not be here. That clearly God has work for them on this side of heaven. And that's so important.
That's so important. Katherine, for someone who's listening and is in the dark right now, but it's just like, how do you get to that place where you can begin to think about there might be good, or there might, even more stronger language, treasure in the dark, when it feels like, even in my own family, we lost my brother a year ago, and it's just like, oh my gosh, like there's just so much darkness for that person who's just totally overwhelmed by the darkness. How can, practically speaking, a person begin to look for treasure?
Yeah, oh gosh. First of all, I always want to make it abundantly clear. My attitude, like straight out of the gate after the stroke, wasn't like, this is so awesome and I love this. I spent the first 5 years after my stroke really just coping and coming up for air again, and really processing how am I going to live this way? How is this going to work? What is my life going to be like? So I love to tell people that before you can ever fully accept your circumstances and move forward in life, there must be a period, which maybe it's 5 years, maybe it's 20 years, I have no idea, of allowing your circumstances to wreck you. The fact that you are where you are is really hard, and that should be acknowledged. Lament is a thing in the Bible for a reason. Feeling deep grief and sadness over what's been lost is just a testament that there was things worth losing. in all of our stories, that grief is just leftover love, honestly. Ugh. Somehow, in each one of our stories, we have to grieve what's lost. And then we can start to move forward and accept the circumstances. But first, we need to allow ourselves to be wrecked by them.
Hey crew, it's Adam from The Conversation. I'm so glad that you've tuned in to this episode. If you haven't done so yet, make sure you go and click the subscribe button, whether it's on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or on Pando, so you don't miss a single episode of The Conversation. Also, I need to give a huge shout out to these partners. These partners help make this episode of The Conversation possible. They're organizations that I know and trust that I want you to know about as well. Have a great rest of your day.